Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers disorderly conduct, apartment buildings, and public intoxication, and is brought to us by a private submission. On June 8, 2024, Officer Ronald Lalumandiere and several other officers with the Newport Police Department responded to an assault in a parking lot outside of the Newport, Kentucky apartment complex where Brandon Reddig resided. As the officers were investigating the assault, Mr. Reddig directed remarks towards the officers from the balcony of his girlfriend's apartment, which was located in the same building. The encounter was captured on officer body camera.
Brad, come on. Obviously, I'm trying to get in. I don't have a rack. You have a rack, sir?
I don't even have a car here.
You guys don't even have like a paper towel?
I'm on foot.
Hey, I didn't know that. I was just sitting on my bike, and she came up, and the other girl just started swinging on her. Huh?
So I had a guy come up yesterday screaming at us because jerseys were so loud, and we had just talked to the manager. He was going back. He comes up doing the same type of figured out. He's like, "You useless." I'm like, do what? So I went after it. So he was gone. Regardless, he was gone, and I was just, dude. And I'm like, just come up and talk to me, and I'll tell you, I'm turning it off right now. We told him. Like, if you just would have come ask me about it, you know what I mean?
Hey! Time for you to quit! Hey!
If you yell again, I'm going to arrest you.
Hey, stop right now or you're going to go to jail.
I didn't do anything.
I don't care. You're egging it on. Stop.
Then what would be the reason for jail?
Disorderly conduct.
But I didn't.
Yes, you did. If you want to test the waters, you'll go in cuffs.
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
All right, we're almost out of here.
Hey! Enough!
Unit number 320.
Copy.
Keep it up. I'll take you to jail. Yeah, absolutely.
Officer Lalumandiere threatens to arrest the assault victim and Mr. Reddig for disorderly conduct. Section 525.060 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes states that, quote, "A person is guilty of disorderly conduct in the second degree when, in a public place, and with intent to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or wantonly creating a risk thereof, he engages in fighting or in violent, tumultuous, or threatening behavior, makes unreasonable noise, refuses to obey an official order to disperse issued to maintain public safety in dangerous proximity to a fire, hazard, or other emergency, or creates a hazardous or physically offensive condition by any act that serves no legitimate purpose." Section 525.010 defines the term public place as, quote, "a place to which the public or a substantial group of persons has access and includes but is not limited to highways, transportation facilities, schools, places of amusements, parks, places of business, playgrounds, and hallways, lobbies, and other portions of apartment houses and hotels, not constituting rooms or apartments designed for actual residence." The statute also states that, quote, "an act is deemed to occur in a public place if it provides its offensive or prescribed consequences in a public place." Therefore, while the assault victim was clearly in a public place, a court could also find that the balcony of the apartment was a public place for the purposes of the disorderly conduct statute, as Mr. Reddig's shouts could be heard in public. In the 2022 case of Martinez versus Commonwealth, the Court of Appeals of Kentucky concluded that a private apartment patio could be a public place for purposes of the disorderly conduct statute when officers could hear an individual yelling from it from several blocks away. Accordingly, it is possible that Mr. Reddig could be convicted of disorderly conduct if a court determined that he was making quote-unquote unreasonable noise from the balcony. As the Supreme Court of Kentucky explained in the 1994 case of Commonwealth versus Jones, what is considered quote-unquote reasonable noise, now quoting, depends upon the time, place, nature, and purpose of the noise. So-called unreasonable was preferred over so-called loud because loud noises may be appropriate in some places and on some occasions. Content, volume, and surrounding circumstances may be considered together when making a determination of reasonableness. Applying this standard, the court determined that it is typically the jury's responsibility to decide whether noise is quote-unquote reasonable based on the specific circumstances in which it occurred. And in the specific case it was considering, the court found found sufficient evidence for the jury to conclude that the defendant made unreasonable noise by speaking louder than a normal conversational volume. Therefore, it is possible that a jury could convict both Mr. Rettig and the assault victim for disorderly conduct if it found the volume of their speech to be quote-unquote unreasonable.
It works for me. Don't worry about it. I got keys to your apartment.
Officer Lalumandier, who is a former tenant of Mr. Rettig's apartment complex, uses an old key card to gain access to the locked apartment building and secure elevator, and he and two other officers knock on Mr. Rettig's girlfriend's apartment door. According to a lawsuit filed by Mr. Rettig regarding this encounter, quote, "The apartment complex is private property, with access strictly limited to current residents and their invitees, as well as authorized personnel. It is not open to the public, and people from off the street may not enter the property at any time. The building is instead a secure apartment complex." Now, while several federal circuits have concluded that tenants do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in apartment building hallways or other common areas, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Kentucky, held in the 1976 case of United States v. Carragher that, quote, "A tenant in an apartment building has a reasonable expectation of privacy in the common areas of the building not open to the general public, and that an officer's entry into a locked apartment building without permission and without a warrant of any kind was an illegal entry that violated a tenant's Fourth Amendment rights." The Sixth Circuit later affirmed in the 2006 case of U.S. v. Dillard that the Carragher case remained binding legal precedent in the circuit, at least when the door to the common area of the apartment building was locked. Here, Officer Lalumandier did not have a warrant and did not appear to have permission to enter the locked common area from any of the residents of the apartment complex, although it is strange that his key card would still be in his possession and working after he moved out. As such, a court could conclude that the entry was a Fourth Amendment violation, but more investigation into the facts would be necessary to reach a definitive conclusion.
I don't know, we're out here trying to deal with some of the holiday house parking lot, and some guys up on their balcony yelling and trying to insinuate or incite everybody else to fight and cause problems, so we're up here trying to arrest them and refuse to open the door. Okay. I can hear them in there. They were all talking on the balcony until somebody came up and knocked on the door, didn't they?
Big man hiding.
No, I came in to work a detail, and they just had an incident happen over at Holiday House parking lot, and we're out trying to deal with it, and this idiot right here comes out on the balcony and starts screaming at everybody, and he's been told and warned multiple times to come back inside and cut it out, and he wanted to sit there and just keep jawjacking, so if we can get inside this apartment, he's going to jail.
If anyone else is in there, this is considered hindering.
The officer claims that if anyone else is inside the apartment, it is considered hindering to not open the door. Under Section 520.130 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, quote, "A person is guilty of hindering prosecution or apprehension in the second degree when, with the intent to hinder the apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of another who is being sought in connection with the commission of a criminal offense, he renders assistance to such person." Further, Section 520.110 of the Kentucky Revised Statute states that, quote, "A person renders assistance to another when he harbors or conceals such person or warns such person of impending discovery or apprehension." While refusing to open the door for the police to make an arrest could conceivably constitute harboring or concealing a suspect under some circumstances, it is crucial to understand that a court would almost certainly find that the Newport officers had no legal authority to demand entry to the apartment here. Unless there are exigent circumstances or consent is given, law enforcement officers need an arrest warrant to enter a suspect's own home to arrest them. And to enter a third party's home to arrest someone, officers must also obtain a search warrant to protect the third party's privacy rights under the Fourth Amendment, even if they have an arrest warrant for the suspect. Therefore, if someone were inside and refusing to answer the door, it is unlikely that a court would find they could be lawfully arrested for hindering. Now, if you're not sure what you would do if the police came knocking on your door, well, then you may want to pick up a copy of the Civilian Rights Hand Guide, our comprehensive guide to navigating officer encounters. In the first half of the book, we review the legal framework surrounding police interactions so you can understand the law that applies to different situations. Then, in the second half of the book, we provide practical guidance for dealing with law enforcement in various scenarios, including an entire chapter on encountering the police at home. The Civilian Rights Hand Guide is available exclusively on Amazon, and you can find a link in the description and pinned comment below. Thank you so much for your support. And now, let's continue with this interaction.
Sorry to wake you in the middle. This guy's, he's pushed the bar too far tonight. So this is Sierra Steps' apartment? Okay. Well, her apartment has caused 9 kinds of chaos here tonight. Just FYI. I don't know what you want to do on your end about it, but 328's a problem. Yeah. Sierra, I need you to come to the door. This is Officer Lawnder, Newport Police. All right. If I get anything out here, I'll holler at you. All right. Bye. Sierra Step, come out to the door and talk to me.
She's in the office right now.
So who's in her apartment right now?
Nobody's in there.
There is somebody in there.
I'll unlock the door right now for you guys. You guys are welcome to look.
So where did your buddy go in the red shirt?
Yeah, where's he at? I know Melissa, we're getting ready to look at the cameras.
No, that's fine. I don't know what happened, but...
So where's he at? Because you got options to work with us or be hindering.
I'll work with you guys as much as you want.
So where'd he go? Because you're coming from that way. So where did he go?
I live down the hall.
Okay, well...
I live down the hall. Here you guys go, you guys. So actually, no, fuck that. I'm not letting you guys go in there.
We're not going to go in there, but if he's in there, he'd be
Nobody's in there.
Oh, that's fine.
But
we're just going to get a warrant. We'll go in anyway.
Pretty sure he just changed.
Oh, that's cool. Is it really that big of a deal?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's fine.
I think it's him.
It's him. He just changed shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
I think you're slick. It's funny.
Yeah, that was a stupid move. Got to turn around.
What do you mean?
It's obviously you.
So,
guys,
we gave him all.
I live down the hall. I am Sierra's
What
boyfriend.
apartment do you live in?
357.
What's your name?
Brandon Reddick. You can ask Melissa. I live right down the hall.
So how come
You can call her.
I am calling her.
Yeah, do it.
So
I can unlock my apartment right now for you guys.
no, we believe you, but it was obvious that we were
It's
dealing
not.
with. It was.
Is Brandon Redding at 350 what?
357.
357? Okay, I'm pretty sure it was him out there on the balcony yelling at us, so I think we figured it out here. Anyways, I'll holler back at you after we clear.
My brother's a lieutenant in Florence. I respect the.
All right, that'll work then.
Get it.
Thank
So
you.
when we're
I
dealing with
really
something,
do. No, trust me.
I'm not gonna get anywhere.
That's not
Put
me.
it on the wall.
You gonna make me go pull these video cameras?
You can
Melissa's
go-
getting up right now. I mean, dude, here's the thing.
No.
Here's the thing. We know it was you, all right?
No, you don't.
You want to make a bet? I can find out real quick.
There's no cameras in here.
Yeah, you want? I used to live here. I know there
I
is.
live here.
So did I. I lived here for 2 years. I know there's cameras here.
Yeah, there's cameras here, but not between my apartment and her. So you're not gonna.
How much you had to drink tonight?
I live here.
Turn around here on the wrist.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Are you
We
serious?
told you out there. You didn't listen.
Dude,
This is the
I
law.
live here.
You shouldn't be doing
Guys,
what you're
come
doing.
on, really?
We worked with you. We
You guys
gave you
are-
multiple times.
I'm trying to work with you.
There you go.
I am trying to work with you guys. You guys are really going to just arrest me for this?
Officer Lalumandier placed Mr. Reddick under arrest and later issued him a citation for public intoxication. According to Section 222.202 of the Kentucky Revised Statutes, quote, "A person is guilty of alcohol intoxication when he appears in a public place manifestly under the influence of alcohol to the degree that he may endanger himself or other persons or property, or unreasonably annoy persons in his vicinity." Section 222.201 of the Revised Statute states that for the purposes of the public intoxication statute, the term public place shall have the same meaning as it does in Section 525.010 of the Revised Statutes, which is the same definition used for the disorderly conduct statute we discussed earlier in this episode. Now, although the statute does list hallways of apartment houses as an example of a so-called public place, it also requires the place to be one, now quoting, to which the public or a substantial group of persons has access. Accordingly, Mr. Reddick would have a strong argument that the secure hallway of the locked apartment building was not a public place, as it was only open to residents and their invitees. Further, as the Supreme Court of Kentucky explained in the 2016 case of Maloney versus Commonwealth, a violation of the public intoxication statute, quote, requires much more than simply, quote unquote, being drunk. It requires some behavior that, quote unquote, manifests, meaning exhibits or demonstrates alcohol intoxication to the degree that he may endanger himself or other persons or property, or unreasonably annoy persons in his vicinity. Well, given this requirement, it seems improbable that a court would conclude that Mr. Reddick could be arrested for public intoxication, at least based on his conduct in the apartment building hallway.
Seriously. I live here.
You can act the way you're acting.
This is funny.
It's going to be near the Five Guys. Caller is now running.
What
This
happened?
is crazy. Guys, come on. Like, seriously, this is crazy. That's my old idea. That's my new one. They're both real.
I got ahead of that.
No, you're good.
Seriously, guys. All right, come on.
You throw that out.
I got you, man. I'm not gonna read this.
No, no, you're not.
I know. I promise, dude. Like, I promise. I respect you guys.
You throw down there, but I think.
Go to the left.
Gotcha.
Do you care if I put him in the back of your car, run get my car, and I'll come back over here and get him? That way I don't have to walk him all the way over in front of the levee.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys.
Okay.
Gotcha.
See?
Gotcha.
Mr. Reddick was charged with public intoxication, with the citation indicating that the apartment complex hallway was a, quote, common area open to the public, despite the fact that the officers needed to use a key card to access it. The charge was dismissed with prejudice in October, and on December 10th, 2024, Mr. Reddick filed a federal lawsuit against Officer Lalumandier and the Newport Police Department. The lawsuits alleged violations of the First and Fourth Amendment, with claims including First Amendment retaliation, malicious arrest, malicious prosecution, excessive force, unlawful seizure of person, and battery. As of the date of writing this episode, the suit is still pending. Overall, Officer Lalumandier and the Newport officers get an F for unnecessarily arresting Mr. Reddick for his minorly disruptive behavior, knowingly misrepresenting the private nature of the apartment hallway in an attempt to support a public intoxication charge, and potentially violating the Fourth Amendment by entering a locked apartment building with an old key card. Now, while it is possible that a court could find that probable cause existed for a disorderly conduct arrest, the officers clearly seemed motivated by the content of Mr. Reddick's speech rather than its volume, and were apparently so offended that they were willing to abandon a crime scene, enter a locked apartment building, and make an arrest just to prove a point. I would also be remiss if I failed to mention the appalling manner in which the officers treated the assault victim before the encounter with Mr. Rettig even began. Although it is possible that some investigation occurred off camera, from the interactions captured on the body camera footage, the officers did not appear remotely interested in capturing the individual who assaulted the victim, and instead threatened the victim with arrest multiple times when she appeared to be confused and traumatized. Then, 3 officers left the investigation to arrest Mr. Rettig, seemingly for offending them with his speech. This encounter demonstrates the importance of officer discretion and underscores the need for law enforcement to exercise empathy and ensure that violent crime investigation and victim support is prioritized over more trivial offenses. Mr. Rettig gets a B+, because although he potentially engaged in disorderly conduct by shouting from the balcony, he did an excellent job in physically submitting to the arrest while expressing verbal dissent, fighting the criminal charge against him, and pursuing appropriate civil legal action after his arrest. I commend Mr. Rettig for obtaining legal counsel and challenging the officer's actions in the courtroom rather than resisting during the arrest. However, it is important to note that disorderly conduct statutes are broadly written and often allow for punishment based on the volume of speech rather than its content. While the First Amendment protects an individual's right to free expression, with certain limited exceptions, courts have generally held that this protection does not extend to speech at an excessively loud volume that disrupts public peace, and that restrictions on the time, place, and manner of speech are permissible as long as they are content neutral, serve a significant governmental interest, and leave open alternative channels for communication. For this reason, I would advise Mr. Rettig to avoid shouting from balconies in the future, as the broad scope of the disorderly conduct statute grants officers significant discretion in determining what constitutes so-called unreasonable noise, at least for the purposes of probable cause. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to pick up your copy of the Civilian Rights Hand Guide in the links below.